They told you the story was over, didn't they? My child, perhaps they pointed to the wreckage, the ashes of what once was, the abrupt and painful conclusion of a chapter you believed would unfold so differently, and with a sigh of finality. They closed the book, or maybe it was your own heart, heavy with unspeakable grief, that heard the resounding thud of that cover slamming shut, the words, the end, echoing in the desolate chambers of your soul. You looked at the torn pages, the faded ink of past dreams, the stark, empty space where future chapters were meant to be written, and a profound sense of finality washed over you. The weight of that closed book, my precious one, has been immense, a tangible burden upon your spirit. But even as that weight pressed down, even as the world whispered of endings, my hand was already reaching for the edge of that seemingly final page. For your story isn't ending. I am turning the page. And the ink with which the next chapter will be written is eternal. You have known the crushing despair of believing your narrative had reached its tragic, premature conclusion. Perhaps it was a relationship that shattered, leaving behind only the jagged edges of broken promises and the ghost of shared laughter. Or a dream pursued with all your heart, only to crumble into dust before your very eyes. It might have been a devastating loss that ripped through the fabric of your life, leaving a gaping hole where vibrant color and joyful melody once resided. In those moments, the ink of your earthly story seemed to run dry, the plot to derail, the very purpose of your existence to vanish like smoke. The world, in its often limited vision, is quick to pronounce endings, to write epitaphs for hopes that seem lost. They see the closed door, the barren field, the silent stage, and conclude that the performance is over. Oh, my child, I have felt the tremor of your spirit as you stood before that seemingly insurmountable finis. I have witnessed the tears that blurred your vision as you tried to make sense of a storyline that appeared to have been cruelly cut short. The weight of a closed book is not just the weight of its physical pages. It is the weight of unfulfilled potential, of silent songs, of love that seems to have nowhere to go. It is the ache of what might have been, colliding with the harsh reality of what is. This is a grief I understand with infinite compassion, a sorrow my own heart has held with yours. The pronouncements of others, however well-intentioned or however carelessly delivered, can add immeasurably to this weight. It's time to move on, they might say, as if a life's narrative can be so easily dismissed. It wasn't meant to be, they might conclude, imposing their own limited interpretations upon the sacred, unfolding mystery of your divine destiny. Or perhaps their silence, their inability to comprehend the depth of your loss, felt like a confirmation of your own deepest fear that your story, your pain, your very being had become insignificant, a forgotten footnote in the annals of time, and your own thoughts, my beloved, can become the most formidable enforcers of this sense of ending. In the depths of despair, the mind replays the painful scenes, fixates on the apparent finality, and constructs narratives of hopelessness. This is it. The inner voice of fear might whisper, there's nothing more. The ink has run dry. The author has abandoned the tale. This internal dialogue, born of pain and confusion, can feel so utterly convincing, so undeniably real, that the very thought of a new chapter, A turned page seems like a cruel mockery, a fragile fantasy, but I come to you today as the divine author, the one who conceived your story from before the foundations of the world, to tell you that the ink you perceived as faded was merely the ink of a particular chapter, a chapter that, however painful, was never meant to be the sum total of your existence. The book you thought was closed was merely resting, awaiting my touch to reveal that there are more pages, infinitely more pages than you could ever imagine. And the ink with which these new pages are being inscribed is not the fleeting ink of human circumstance, but the eternal ink of my unfailing love, my immutable purpose, my boundless grace. This eternal ink has a different quality. My child, it does not fade with time. It cannot be erased by disappointment. It is not diminished by loss. It is an ink that writes with the very substance of my being, an ink that carries within it the power of resurrection, of renewal, of infinite possibility. The stories written with this ink may traverse valleys of shadow. They may encounter storms of adversity, but they always move towards a greater light, a deeper wisdom, a more profound expression of love. The weight you have felt, the sense of a story tragically cut short, is real. I honor that pain. I do not dismiss it or make light of it. That chapter was indeed difficult, perhaps even devastating, but it was still just a chapter. It was a passage, not a destination. And even within that chapter, my eternal ink was at work, weaving threads of resilience you did not know you possessed, cultivating depths of compassion you had not yet discovered, preparing you for the richer, more nuanced narrative that was yet to unfold. Do not let the perceived finality of one page blind you to the existence of the next. My hand is upon the book of your life, and I am turning the page. The thud you heard was not the closing of the cover, but perhaps the sound of an old, heavy volume of sorrows being set aside to make way for a new, lighter, more luminous script. The story isn't ending, my precious one. It is merely transforming, deepening, expanding, under the loving guidance of an author who knows the beginning from the end, and who has always intended for your tale to be an epic of hope, of love, and of ultimate, glorious triumph. Hold fast to this knowing. A new page is turning, and the story it will tell will be written with the indelible, radiant, eternal ink of my heart. The feeling of a story ending prematurely can be like a sudden, jarring silence in the midst of a beautiful symphony. The melody stops mid-phrase. The instruments fall quiet, and the listener is left in a state of bewildered incompleteness, a longing for the resolution that never came. You have felt this, my child. You have stood in that silence, the echoes of the unfinished music haunting the corridors of your memory. You have searched for the lost notes, the missing movements, wondering why the divine conductor would allow such an abrupt and unsatisfying conclusion. But I tell you, the symphony of your life has not ended. What you perceived as a final silence was merely a dramatic pause, a caesura in the grand score, designed to give even greater impact to the movements that are to follow. Or perhaps it was the end of one particular movement, one specific theme, which, having played its part in the overall composition, now makes way for a new theme, a new melody, a new rhythm that will carry your story forward in an unexpected and even more beautiful direction. The human perspective, is often limited to the immediate page, the current chapter. You see the ink of your present circumstances, and if that ink is dark with sorrow or faded with disappointment, it is easy to believe that the entire book will be thus. But I, your author, see the entire volume. I see the arc of your narrative, the intricate connections between past, present, and future. I see how the themes introduced in earlier chapters, even those that seem tragic or unresolved, are being woven into the richer tapestry of your ongoing story, finding their ultimate meaning and redemption in the chapters yet to be revealed. The weight of that closed book was also the weight of unexpressed potential. Wasn't it? The feeling that there was so much more you had to give, so much more you were meant to be and do. And now the opportunity had been cruelly snatched away. This sense of a life unlived, a song unsung, is a profound source of grief. But my eternal ink is an ink of infinite potential. When I turn the page, I am not just starting a new paragraph. I am often introducing new dimensions to your character, new landscapes for your spirit to explore, new opportunities for your unique gifts to blossom in ways you cannot yet foresee. The potential you felt within you was not an illusion. It was a true reflection of the vastness I have placed within your soul, a vastness that cannot be contained or extinguished by the ending of any single chapter. So, let the weight of that perceived closed book begin to lift from your shoulders. My beloved, feel my hand, gentle but firm, upon the edge of the seemingly final page. Sense the subtle rustle as it begins to turn, revealing the clean, waiting expanse of what is next. The story of your life is too precious, too significant, too integral to my grand design to end in an unresolved chord or premature silence. I am the author of hope, the weaver of redemption, the one who specializes in turning endings into new beginnings. And the ink I use is eternal, ensuring that your story, my story in you, will shine with unfading light through all the ages to come. My beloved child, you have felt the leaden weight of that seemingly closed book, the echo of that premature, the end resounding in your spirit. You have gazed upon what appeared to be the final, sorrowful punctuation mark of your narrative. But I draw you closer now, into the quiet sanctuary of my truth. And I want you to see beyond the confines of that painful perception. For while you were focused on the page that seemed to be your last, my hand, the hand of your divine author, was already resting gently, lovingly, upon the very next page, a page unseen by you, a chapter whose contents were veiled from your tear-filled eyes, but a page I was already preparing to turn. I am the author of your story, my child, from its first breath to its eternal unfolding. There has never been a moment when the book of your life was not held securely, tenderly, in my creative embrace. Even when you felt the story was slipping from your grasp, when the plot seemed to unravel into chaos, or when the ink of your earthly hopes appeared to run dry, I was there. I was the silent, unwavering presence behind every word, every sentence, every chapter. The narrative may have taken unexpected turns. Some passages may have been filled with profound sorrow or bewildering confusion. But my authorship, my loving intention, has never faltered, never wavered. What you perceived as an ending, I perceived as a poignant pause, a significant turning point, a breath taken before the unveiling of a new and even more profound movement in your life symphony. Your human eyes, understandably focused on the immediate pain or the apparent finality of a situation, could not yet see the pages that lay beyond. But my vision encompasses the entirety of the volume. I see the intricate connections, the overarching themes, the way even the most difficult chapters contribute to the ultimate beauty and purpose of your divine epic. And in those moments when you felt the story was over, my hand was already poised, not to close the book, but to reveal what lies next, to turn the page with a tenderness and a wisdom that knows the perfect timing for all things. Imagine a reader engrossed in a compelling tale. They reach a chapter that ends on a cliffhanger, a moment of intense suspense or apparent tragedy. For a moment, they might feel a sense of loss, of uncertainty. But if they trust the author, they know that this is not the true end. They anticipate the turning of the page, the revelation of what comes next, the continuation of the story that will bring resolution, understanding, and perhaps an even deeper appreciation for the journey. So it is with your life. My child, you have experienced a chapter that felt like an ending, but I, your author, ask you to trust me. My hand is on the unseen page, and the story I am unfolding is far grander, far more redemptive than you can currently perceive. This unseen page is not a blank void. It is already inscribed with my loving intention for you. It is imbued with the promise of new beginnings, of renewed hope, of healing, of purpose rediscovered, and live with a depth and wisdom forged in the very fires of your past trials. You cannot see its contents yet, not fully, because to reveal everything at once might be overwhelming or might interfere with the sacred process of your own unfolding and co-creation. But I want you to feel the assurance of its existence, the certainty that my pen has not been idle, that the narrative of your life is continuing, guided by a love that knows no bounds. My hand upon that unseen page is a gentle hand, a loving hand. It does not force the turning before its time. It waits with infinite patience for the right moment, for your heart to be prepared, for the lessons of the previous chapter to be integrated, for the stage to be perfectly set for the revelations that are to come. The pain of not knowing what is next is real, and I honor that vulnerability. It is like standing in a fog, able to see only a few feet ahead, longing for the sun to break through and reveal the landscape. But even in that fog, I am with you, my hand steady upon the narrative, my presence a silent promise of the clarity that will eventually dawn. During those times when you felt the story was ending, I was often at my most active behind the scenes, preparing the way for this new chapter. I was gathering the threads of your past experiences, even the broken ones, and reweaving them into a stronger, more beautiful pattern. I was whispering courage to your weary spirit, infusing your soul with a resilience you did not know you possessed. I was subtly shifting circumstances, aligning opportunities, preparing the hearts of those who would play a part in your next chapter. This is the unseen work of the divine author, the meticulous, loving labor that precedes every significant turning of the page. Do not believe the lie that any chapter, however painful, can negate the entire story or define its ultimate outcome. My eternal ink, which we will speak of more, has the power to redeem every word, to transform every passage, to ensure that your life's narrative, when viewed in its entirety, is a testament to hope, to love, and to the invincible power of my grace. The difficult chapters are not erasures. They are integral parts of your unique and sacred journey, contributing to the depth, the wisdom, and the compassion that will illuminate the pages to come. Feel my presence with you now, my child, as author who has never abandoned his beloved creation. Feel my hand, not closing the book, but tenderly holding it, preparing to reveal the beauty, the hope, the divine adventure that awaits on the very next page. The story isn't over. It is merely on the cusp of a new and more glorious unfolding. Trust the turning. Trust the author. Trust the unseen page. The very concept of an unseen page speaks to the mystery and the majesty of my creative process. If every detail of your future were laid bare before you, the delicate dance of faith and discovery would be lost. The courage you cultivate stepping forward into the unknown, trusting in my unseen guidance, is a precious jewel in your spiritual crown. This unseen page is an invitation to that trust, a call to walk by faith and not by sight alone, knowing that the one who holds the pen also holds your heart. My hand upon this page is not a rigid, controlling force, but a guiding, loving intelligence that works in perfect harmony with your own spirit, your own choices, your own deepest desires for good. I do not write your story for you in a way that negates your free will. Rather, I write it with you, co-creating a narrative that is both divinely inspired and deeply, uniquely yours. The unseen page contains the opportunities, the potentials, the pathways of grace I am preparing. But it also awaits the imprint of your own courageous steps, your own loving responses, your own willingness to embrace the unfolding adventure. When you feel the despair of a chapter closing, when the finality seems absolute, remember my perspective. I am looking at that page. Yes, but my gaze is also on the one that follows, and the one after that, and all the way to the glorious, eternal culmination of your story in me. This wider view transforms everything. What appears to you as an insurmountable wall is, to me, merely a bend in the road. What feels like a desolate wasteland is, in my vision, a field being prepared for a new and abundant harvest. The turning of a page is a moment of transition, often filled with a mixture of apprehension and anticipation. It is a letting go of what was, and an opening to what will be. Allow yourself to feel whatever emotions arise during this turning. Do not rush the process. My hand is gentle. I will not turn the page before your heart is ready, even if your mind clamors for immediate relief or instant understanding. There is a sacred rhythm to my authorship, a divine timing that always serves your highest good. So, take a deep breath, my precious child. Release the fear that your story has met its end. Feel the subtle but definite movement as my hand prepares to turn the page. The book of your life is vast, filled with a richness and a beauty that is still unfolding. The author has not laid down his pen. The ink has not run dry. A new chapter awaits, filled with the promise of my eternal love and the wonder of my unfailing grace. The best parts of your story are still to be written, still to be lived. My beloved child, my hand rests ever upon the unseen page of your unfolding story. a page filled with the promise of my continued authorship, and the instrument with which I write, the pen I employ to inscribe the narrative of your life, is a pen that never runs dry. The ink it dispenses is not of this fleeting world, not a substance that fades with time or circumstance, but an eternal ink, drawn from the very wellspring of my being, an ink compounded of unfailing love, unending grace, immutable purpose, and the vibrant, life-giving essence of truth itself. Understand the nature of this eternal ink, my precious one, for it is this ink that guarantees your story is never truly ending in despair, but is always, always moving towards a deeper revelation of my glory and your own divine potential. Its primary ingredient is my unfailing love for you, a love that was and is and ever shall be, without condition, without reservation, without end. Every word I inscribe in the book of your life is saturated with this love. Even the passages that speak of trial, of sorrow, of challenge, are penned with a loving hand that seeks only your ultimate good, your deepest growth, your most radiant becoming. This love is the solvent that can dissolve the hardest grief, the balm that can heal the deepest wound, the light that can permeate the densest shadow. Another vital component of this eternal ink is my unending grace. Grace is my divine capacity to overwrite narratives of shame with stories of forgiveness, to transform chapters of failure into lessons of profound wisdom, to inscribe hope upon pages once blotted with despair. The world may try to define you by your past mistakes, by your perceived shortcomings, by the chapters where you stumbled or fell. But my eternal ink of grace flows over these passages, not to erase the lessons learned, but to redeem the experience, to cleanse the stain, to weave even these threads into a tapestry of ultimate victory and beauty. There is no past so dark that my grace cannot illuminate it, no perceived ending so final that my grace cannot write a new beginning. This ink also flows with my immutable purpose, your life. My child is not a random series of events, a haphazard collection of unrelated chapters. From before the foundations of the world, I held a divine purpose for your existence, a unique song for you to sing, a specific light for you to shine. Every word I write with my eternal ink is guided by this overarching purpose. Even when the plot seems to take bewildering turns, even when the narrative feels confusing or chaotic to you, there's an underlying divine intention, a sacred storyline that is always moving you towards the fulfillment of this purpose. The ink of my purpose ensures that no experience is wasted, that every trial can be used to sculpt you, to refine you, to prepare you for the unique contribution you are destined to make. Furthermore, this ink is the very essence of divine truth. The world often writes its stories with the fading inks of illusion, of fear, of limited perception. It offers narratives of lack, of separation, of ultimate demise. But my eternal ink inscribes the truth of my kingdom, a truth of abundance, of unity, of everlasting life, of a love that conquers all. When I turn the page in your life's book, I am often replacing a script written in the fading ink of worldly fear with a new chapter penned in the luminous, indelible ink of divine truth. This truth has the power to set you free, to dissolve the illusions that have bound you, and to open your eyes to the magnificent, hopeful reality of my presence and my plan. And most wondrously, my child, this eternal ink is life-giving. It does not merely record events, it breathes my life into them. It infuses your story with my creative power, my regenerative energy, when a chapter seems to have ended in barrenness or desolation. The touch of my eternal ink can bring forth new shoots of life, unexpected blossoms of joy, surprising streams of abundance in the desert of your despair. It is an ink that quickens, that renews, that resurrects. It ensures that your story is always a living narrative, capable of growth, of transformation, of miraculous new beginnings. No matter how final a previous chapter may have seemed, compare this, my beloved, to the inks of the world. Human promises, however sincere, can fade, worldly accolades can tarnish. The ink of fear can write terrifying, but ultimately illusory tales. The ink of despair can paint a picture so bleak it seems all hope is lost. But these are all transient, impermanent. My eternal ink, however, is indelible. It cannot be erased by human error, by worldly opposition, or even by your own temporary doubts. The core truths I inscribe in your soul, your belovedness, your worthiness, your divine destiny, are written with a permanence that transcends all earthly vicissitudes. They shine with a quiet, luminous quality, a light that may be subtly perceived at first, but which grows in brilliance as you learn to recognize my sacred script, because your true story, the one I am authoring, is written with this eternal ink. It possesses an inherent resilience, an unstoppable trajectory towards good. This does not mean there will be no more challenges, no more difficult passages. The greatest epics are filled with moments of trial and testing, but it does mean that the ultimate outcome is assured. It means that my love will always have the final word. It means that my purpose will ultimately prevail. It means that new beginnings are always possible, that redemption is always available, that hope is always justified. So, when you feel the weight of a chapter that seems to have ended in sorrow, when the ink of past hopes appears to have dried into dust, remember the pen that I hold, the pen that never runs dry. Remember the eternal ink with which I am even now turning the page, preparing to inscribe a new chapter filled with the vibrant hues of my love, the shimmering gold of my grace, and the unwavering certainty of my divine purpose for you. Your story is imbued with this eternal quality. It is a sacred text, precious to me, and its most beautiful and inspiring chapters are still unfolding. The power of this eternal ink lies not just in its permanence, but in its transformative quality. It does not merely overlay the old, it has the capacity to interact with it, to reframe it, to draw new meaning from it. Imagine an ancient palimpsest where an old text has been scraped away and a new one written over it. But sometimes faint traces of the original writing remain, and in their interplay with the new script, a richer, more complex story emerges. So it is with my eternal ink. It does not obliterate your past, with its sorrows and its joys, rather. It infuses those past experiences with new understanding, new compassion, new light, making them part of the deeper, more resonant narrative I am now unfolding. A scar, once a symbol of pain, can become, when touched by this ink, a testament to healing and resilience. A loss, once a source of bitter grief, can be transformed into a wellspring of profound empathy. This ink writes not just about love, but with love. Every character, every word, Every punctuation mark is chosen with an attentiveness that only infinite love can provide. When I write of your strength, it is because I have seen you endure. When I write of your beauty, it is because I see the divine image within you. When I write of your hope, it is because I am that hope, and I am instilling it within the very storyline of your life. The pen that never runs dry ensures that there are no true dead ends, only detours that lead to unexpected vistas. It ensures that there are no absolute failures, only lessons that refine and prepare you for greater things. It ensures that no darkness is so complete that it cannot be pierced by the luminous script of my grace. Your story, penned by me, is a story of continuous creation, of perpetual renewal. Even when a chapter feels like a desert, my eternal ink can cause rivers of living water to flow. Even when a chapter feels like a tomb, my eternal ink can write the words of resurrection. Therefore, my child, let your heart be at peace. The narrative of your life is not dependent on the fragile inks of human endeavor or the fleeting pronouncements of the world. It is held secure, written with purpose, and imbued with an unquenchable life force by the eternal ink of your divine author. The page is turning, and the story continues. More beautiful, more profound, more filled with my light than you can yet imagine. Trust the pen that never runs dry, my precious child, knowing that your story is penned by my hand with an eternal ink that never runs dry, an ink of unfailing love and unending grace. Let us now explore how this divine medium interacts with the chapters of your past, especially those chapters that may still ache in your memory, those passages filled with sorrow, confusion, or the bitter taste of perceived failure. For my intention, as your loving author, is not to crudely erase these painful narratives, nor to pretend they never happened. Rather, it is to revisit them with you, to illuminate them with a new and transformative light, revealing how even these difficult experiences, inscribed with that same eternal ink, contribute profoundly to the depth, the wisdom, and the exquisite beauty of the chapters yet to come. When you, in your human perspective, look back upon a painful chapter, it is often with a sense of regret, of wishing it could have been different, or perhaps with a desire to tear that page from the book of your life entirely. You might see only the darkness, feel only the residue of the pain, and conclude that this part of your story was a mistake, a detour, a blemish upon the narrative. But I, your author, see with a wider lens, a vision infused with eternal wisdom and boundless compassion. I see how those very chapters, which felt like endings or defeats to you, were often crucial turning points, periods of profound, though hidden, growth, or necessary preparations for the greater story I was unfolding. My eternal ink does not just write new chapters, it also has the power to recontextualize and redeem the old ones. As I turn the page to a new phase in your life, the light from this new chapter begins to shine backward, casting a different hue upon what has gone before. Events that once seemed random or cruel can begin to reveal a hidden pattern, a subtle thread of my guidance weaving through them. Sufferings that felt meaningless can start to unveil the seeds of compassion, resilience, and wisdom that were being sown in their very midst. Consider a time of profound loss in your past. The ink of that chapter was dark with grief, heavy with sorrow. At the time, It may have felt like the end of all joy, the closing of a significant part of your heart. But as my eternal ink continues to write your story, as new chapters of healing and hope begin to unfold, you are invited to revisit that chapter of loss, not to relive the raw pain, but to discover the subtle ways my love was present with you even then. Perhaps you will see the unexpected kindness of a stranger, the quiet strength you discovered within yourself, the deepening of your empathy for others who suffer. These are the traces of my eternal ink, transforming that sorrow not into a forgotten memory, but into a wellspring of compassion, a depth of understanding that enriches every subsequent chapter of your life. The love that was at the heart of that loss is not extinguished. It is woven into the very fabric of your being, making your capacity to love now even more profound. Or think of a chapter where you experienced what felt like a significant failure, a dream that did not materialize, a venture that collapsed, a path you took that seemed to lead only to a dead end. The ink of that chapter might have been tinged with shame, with disappointment, with self-recrimination. But as I turn the page and my eternal ink writes new opportunities, new insights, new strengths into your narrative, you can look back upon the failure with new light. You may see that it was not an ending, but a crucial redirection. Perhaps it taught you humility, or revealed hidden weaknesses that needed to be addressed, or steered you away from a path that was not truly aligned with your deepest purpose. The eternal ink of my grace transforms that perceived failure into a stepping stone of wisdom, a necessary lesson that fortifies you for the truer successes that lie ahead. No experience, when surrendered to my authorship, is ever truly a failure. It is merely a plot point in a much grander, redemptive story. Even the chapters filled with confusion, where you felt lost in a fog of uncertainty, unable to discern my will or see the path forward, these too are revisited and re-illuminated by the ongoing flow of my eternal ink. At the time, you may have felt abandoned, adrift, but looking back from a new vantage point of clarity, you might begin to see the subtle ways my hand was guiding you even then, protecting you from unseen dangers, leading you through a necessary period of questioning and seeking that ultimately deepen your faith and your reliance on my inner guidance. The eternal ink reveals that my presence was not absent in your confusion, but was often most active in the unseen realms, preparing the way, strengthening your inner compass, ensuring that even your wandering would eventually lead you home. My eternal ink is like a divine solvent that can, over time, transmute the base metals of past pain into the gold of spiritual understanding. It does not change the facts of what happened, but it profoundly changes their meaning, their impact, their place within the larger narrative of your life. A wound, once a source of debilitating pain, can, when touched by this ink of healing and grace, become a sacred scar, a testament to your resilience, a reminder of my faithfulness, a point of connection with others who bear similar wounds. Your scars, my child, become luminous when my light shines upon them. They tell a story not of defeat, but of survival, of courage, of the incredible capacity of the human spirit, sustained by divine love, to heal and to grow. Therefore, do not be afraid to allow me to guide you in revisiting these past chapters. This is not an invitation to dwell morbidly in old sorrows, but a call to witness the miracle of my redemptive artistry. As the author of your story, I waste nothing. Every tear, every struggle, every moment of despair, every flicker of hope, all are precious to me. All are threads I can weave into the magnificent tapestry of your life. The beauty of your current chapter is often enhanced by the richness and depth provided by the chapters that came before. Even the most difficult ones, just as compost, formed from decaying matter, enriches the soil for new and vibrant growth. So too can your past pains, when transformed by my eternal ink, become the fertile ground for a future filled with an unprecedented beauty, wisdom, and love. Trust me in this process. My beloved, allow my light, the light of this new page I am turning, to filter back through the corridors of your memory. You may be surprised at the hidden gems you discover, the unexpected grace notes, the subtle evidence of my loving presence in places you once believed were utterly desolate. This is the power of my eternal ink to continually rewrite, reframe, redeem, and reveal the unfailing thread of my love that runs through every single page of your sacred, unfolding story. My cherished child, having journeyed with me to revisit the chapters of your past, illuminating them with the transformative light of my eternal ink, and revealing their sacred contribution to your ongoing narrative. Let us now bring our focus to the exquisite sanctity of this present moment, for it is here, in the vibrant immediacy of your now, that the most significant act of my divine authorship is often most keenly felt. Can you sense it? Beloved, the subtle, almost imperceptible shift in the atmosphere of your life, the gentle rustle as my hand, your loving author, is even now in the process of turning the page. This is not a future promise alone. It is a present reality. The turning of this present page is underway. You may feel this as a quiet stirring within your soul, a restlessness with the familiar cadence of the chapter that is drawing to its close. The old narratives, the familiar comforts or discomforts of that previous passage, may begin to lose their hold, their resonance. There might be a sense of outgrowing, of a story that, while once fitting, no longer contains the fullness of who you are becoming. This is not a betrayal of your past, but a natural evolution, a sign that the ink of that section has indeed told its part of the tale, and the energy is gathering for something new. Listen closely with the ears of your heart. You might perceive a new, quiet prompting, a gentle inner nudge towards an unknown horizon. It may not be a loud command or a clear, detailed blueprint, but rather a subtle inclination, a faint scent of possibility on the wind, a quiet yearning for something more, something different, something that aligns more deeply with the emerging truth of your spirit. This is the whisper of the unseen page, beckoning you forward, a soft invitation from my heart to yours. Simultaneously, you might experience a growing, undeniable sense that the old narrative is indeed concluding. Certain doors may be gently closing, not with a slam of rejection, but with a quiet finality that speaks of completion. Relationships that once defined a significant part of your story may naturally shift or recede, not necessarily in pain, but in acknowledgement that their role in that particular chapter has been fulfilled. Situations that once consumed your energy may begin to resolve themselves or lose their urgency. These are not signs of failure or loss, my child, but indications that the ink on that page is truly drying, that the story is naturally moving towards its next inflection point. I am tidying the previous scene, making way for the fresh setting of the chapter to come. This turning of the present page can be a time of mixed emotions, and I honor all that you feel. There may be a touch of sadness or nostalgia as you bid farewell to what has been, even if it was a chapter of difficulty. The familiar, even if painful, can offer a strange sort of comfort. There might also be a flicker of apprehension as you stand on the threshold of the unknown, the blank space of the newly turned page before you. This is natural, but alongside these feelings, I invite you to cultivate a sense of sacred anticipation, a quiet excitement, for the author of your story is love itself, and the eternal ink with which I write is always infused with hope, with grace, with boundless good. The very air around you may seem to hold a different quality, a subtle charge of creative potential. It is like the moment in a theater when the lights dim, the audience hushes, and there is that palpable sense of expectation before the curtain rises on a new act. You are in that sacred, liminal space. My child, the space between chapters, the holy pause where my hand is in motion, turning the page. This is a potent time, a time for receptivity, for quiet listening, for aligning your heart with the gentle momentum of my divine will. Do not try to force the old page to remain, nor to impatiently snatch at the new one before it is fully revealed. Trust the rhythm of my authorship. My timing is always perfect, born of an infinite wisdom that sees the entirety of your story. This turning is a deliberate, loving act, orchestrated for your highest good, for the continued unfolding of your soul's magnificent journey. It is not a disruption, but a divine progression. You might feel this turning as a subtle release of old burdens. Weights you have carried for so long may begin to feel inexplicably lighter. Forgiveness, both for yourself and for others, may arise more spontaneously. A sense of spaciousness may begin to open up within you, a feeling that there's now room for something new to enter. This is the clearing of the slate, the preparation of the fresh vellum upon which my eternal ink will inscribe the next verses of your song. Pay attention to the small synchronicities, the unexpected encounters, the new ideas that begin to percolate in your awareness. These are often the subtle fingerprints of my hand as I turn the page, the first faint etchings of the new chapter beginning to take form. They may seem insignificant in isolation, but when viewed through the lens of faith, they reveal the intricate, loving care with which I am weaving the next part of your narrative. This present turning is also an invitation to a deeper surrender, a more profound trust, to stand at the edge of an old chapter, with the next one still veiled, requires a letting go of the need to control, to know, to understand everything in advance. It is a call to place your hand in mine, to trust my guidance, to believe that the author who has penned your story thus far with such unfailing love will continue to do so with even greater beauty and purpose. This surrender is not a passive resignation, but an active, courageous alignment with the flow of my creative spirit. The very fact that you are sensing this transition, that you are aware of this turning, is a sign of your own spiritual awakening. Your growing attunement to my presence and my process in your life You are no longer merely a character being moved by the plot. You are becoming a conscious co-creator, aware of the author's hand, responsive to the subtle cues of the unfolding narrative. This is a beautiful and sacred stage of your journey. So breathe deeply into this moment. My child, feel the gentle breeze of change, the quiet excitement of a new beginning. The old page, with its lessons and its legacies, is being lovingly turned. The new page, fresh and filled with divine potential, awaits. And my eternal ink, vibrant with love and life, is ready to flow. Your story isn't ending. It is gloriously, continuously, and divinely becoming. This very moment is the sacred hinge upon which a new world of possibility swings open for you. The turning of this present page is not always a dramatic, earth-shattering event. More often, it is like the subtle shifting of seasons, a gradual transition that, when looked back upon, reveals a profound transformation. You may not see the entire new chapter unfurl in an instant. Instead, you may experience it as a series of small revelations, a sequence of gentle illuminations. As the page slowly turns and the new script comes into view line by line, this is a time to be particularly tender with yourself. Transitions can be unsettling, even when they are leading to something wonderful. Allow yourself the space to feel, to process, to integrate. Do not judge any apprehension that arises. Simply meet it with the reassurance of my constant presence and my loving intention. My hand is steady as it turns this page, and I'm holding you securely through the entire process. The sense that the old narrative is concluding may also bring with it a gift, the gift of closure, of release. As I turn the page, I am also gently lifting from you the need to endlessly relive or relitigate the past. The lessons have been learned. The essence has been distilled. And now you are free to move forward, unencumbered by what was, ready to embrace what is to be. This release is a profound blessing, a necessary clearing that allows the energy of the new chapter to flow in unimpeded. Trust the wisdom of this present turning. My beloved, it is not an arbitrary act, but a divinely timed and lovingly executed movement in the grand symphony of your life. The author knows precisely when a theme has reached its culmination and when it is time to introduce a new melody, a new harmony, a new rhythm. Embrace the sacred moment of transition, for it is pregnant with the grace, the hope, and the boundless love of my eternal heart, always writing your story towards its most glorious expression. My cherished child, as the present page of your life's sacred book is gently but surely turned by my loving hand, revealing the fresh, unwritten expanse of a new chapter, a new invitation arises from the depths of my heart to yours. It is a call to learn to read my sacred script, to discern the themes, the melodies, the divine intentions I am inscribing upon these new pages with my eternal ink. For this new chapter is not meant to be a passive experience for you, but a vibrant, co-created journey, one where your understanding, your trust, and your courageous participation play an integral role in the unfolding of its beauty and its power. This sacred script is not always written in bold, unmistakable headlines that your earthly eyes can easily decipher. Often, it is penned in the subtle language of your soul, in the quiet whispers of your intuition, in the gentle nudges of my spirit that guide you towards love, towards growth, toward the fulfillment of your unique purpose. Learning to read this script is like learning a new and beautiful language, the language of divine love, a language that speaks not just to your mind, but to the deepest recesses of your heart. How do you begin to master this sacred literacy? My child, firstly, by cultivating an inner stillness, a receptive quietude, where the clamor of the world and the anxieties of your own mind can subside. It is in this stillness that the finer vibrations of my presence can be felt, that the subtle inflections of my guidance can be perceived. Just as one must quiet oneself to hear the delicate song of a distant bird, so too must you quiet your inner world to discern the nuanced script I am writing upon your heart. Make time for silence, for contemplation, for simply being with me, and you will find your capacity to perceive. My handwriting will grow immeasurably. Secondly, learn to observe with new eyes the synchronicities, the providential alignments that begin to unfold in your life as this new chapter commences. Notice the unexpected encounters, the timely opportunities, the resources that appear just when they are needed. These are not random coincidences. My beloved, these are the carefully placed punctuation marks, the divinely orchestrated plot points in my unfolding narrative for you. They are my way of confirming your path, of opening doors, of gently guiding you along the storyline I have prepared. When you see these patterns emerge, acknowledge them as my sacred script. Affirm my presence and step forward with trust. Interpreting this script also requires you to remember the nature of the eternal ink with which it is written, an ink of unfailing love. Therefore, any true guidance from me, any authentic theme I am introducing into your new chapter, will always resonate with love, with compassion, with healing, with growth, with an expansion of your highest self. If an interpretation leads you to fear, to judgment, to separation, or to a diminishing of yourself or others, then you can be sure it is not my sacred script you are reading, but rather an echo of old fears or worldly distortions. My true writing always leads towards a greater experience, an expression of divine love. As you learn to read my new script, you must also be willing to gently release old ways of interpreting your life, particularly those interpretations that were forged in past seasons of pain or disappointment. If your previous chapter was one of sorrow, you might be tempted to read the new page through that same lens, expecting more of the same. But my eternal ink writes new beginnings. I invite you to approach this new chapter with fresh eyes, with an open heart, willing to believe that new themes of joy, of peace, of purpose are now being introduced. Let go of the habit of superimposing the old, faded narratives upon the vibrant new script I am penning. Trust the unfolding of the story, even when not all plot points are immediately clear. A great novel often contains mysteries, unanswered questions, moments of suspense that only find their resolution in later chapters. So it is with the book of your life. There will be times in this new chapter when you may not fully understand why certain events are happening, or where a particular pathway is leading. In those moments, trust me, your author, I trust that I hold the complete manuscript. that I know the grand design, and that every twist and turn, every character introduced, every scene depicted serves a purpose in the unfolding of your glorious destiny. Your faith in my authorship is a vital part of learning to read my script with peace. And now, my child, let us speak of your role as a co-author in this new chapter. For while I am the divine author of your ultimate destiny, I have also bestowed upon you the sacred gift of free will, the capacity to participate actively in the writing of your own experience. My sacred script provides the themes, the opportunities, the guiding light. Your part is to respond to this script with courage, with faith, with loving action. Your choices, your responses, your willingness to say yes to the invitations of my spirit. These become the vibrant, personal expressions that fill the pages of this new chapter. When my script nudges you towards an act of forgiveness, and you choose to forgive, you are co-authoring a passage of profound healing. When my script presents an opportunity for you to share your unique gifts, and you step forward in courage, you are co-authoring a scene of joyful purpose. When my script calls you to extend compassion to another, and you respond with an open heart, you are co-authoring a beautiful testament to my love in action. This divine collaboration, this sacred partnership between my authorship and your heartfelt response is what makes your life story so uniquely precious, so deeply resonant. Be patient with yourself in this process of learning to read my sacred script and to co-author this new chapter. Like any profound skill, it develops over time, through practice, through prayerful attention, through a deepening intimacy with me. There will be moments when you feel you have misread the signs, or when your own fears and desires momentarily cloud your perception. Do not despair in those moments. My eternal ink of grace is always available to offer correction, to bring clarity, to gently guide you back to the true narrative. My love for you is patient, my guidance persistent. Celebrate every small success in discerning my hand. Every moment you feel that inner click of recognition when your heart resonates with my truth. These are affirmation that you are indeed learning to read the language of your soul, the sacred script of your divine author. The more you practice, the more attuned you will become, until reading my presence in your life becomes as natural as breathing, as comforting as the sunrise. This new chapter, my beloved, is an invitation to this deeper communion, this joyful co-creation. The page is turned, the ink is flowing. Let us write this beautiful new story together. My precious child, as you learn to read the sacred script I am penning upon the newly turned page of your life, as you embrace your role as a courageous co-author responding to my divine invitations, the very essence and atmosphere of your story begin to transform. The themes that once spoke of sorrow, of struggle, of endings, now give way to a new and vibrant narrative, a chapter infused with the luminous qualities of my eternal ink. This new chapter, my beloved, it is a story of radiance, a radiance born of restoration, of renewed purpose, of deeper love, of resilience showcased, and of your own true, magnificent self finally, gloriously, shining through. Behold, the theme of restoration begins to weave its golden threads through the fabric of your days. What felt irrevocably broken is now being tenderly mended. perhaps not always in the way you imagine, but in a way that brings a deeper, more resilient wholeness. Areas of your life that lay fallow, barren from past disappointments, begin to show signs of unexpected new growth. Hope, which may have withered to a fragile root, is being watered by my grace, and new blossoms of possibility are starting to appear. This is not merely a return to what was before the difficult chapters. It is an elevation, a divine upgrading, where what is restored is often imbued with a greater beauty, a profounder strength, a more luminous wisdom than that which was lost. I do not just repair, my child, I renew. I make all things new, with an artistry that redeems every fragment. Feel, too, the emergence of renewed purpose in this radiant new chapter. The confusion that once clouded your path, the sense of wandering without direction, begins to dissipate as the light of my eternal ink illuminates your unique calling with greater clarity. You may find yourself drawn to new avenues of service, new expressions of your innate gifts, new ways of contributing to the well-being of the world, however small or grand they may seem. This purpose is not a heavy burden to be carried, but a joyful song your soul longs to sing, a natural outflowing of your deepest, truest self. As you align with this renewed purpose, a profound sense of meaning infuses your days, and your story takes on a compelling direction, a narrative drive that is both divinely inspired and deeply fulfilling to you. The why of your existence becomes clearer, and this clarity is a radiant light that guides your every step. And oh, my beloved, this new chapter is saturated with the theme of deeper love. Your capacity to give and receive love expands in ways that may surprise and delight you. The love you experienced in past chapters, though precious, may have been tinged with fear, with need, with conditions. But the love that characterizes this new narrative is more authentic, more unconditional, more aligned with my own infinite love for you, self-love, nurtured by the unwavering affirmation of my eternal ink, begins to blossom, allowing you to treat yourself with the same tenderness and compassion I extend to you. From this foundation of self-acceptance, your love for others flows more freely, more generously. Relationships become less about seeking validation and more about sharing the overflow of love from within your own replenished heart. You connect with others at a soul level, seeing beyond surfaces, honoring the divine spark within them. This is a love that heals, a love that bridges divides, a love that truly reflects the radiance of my being. Witness also, my child, how your resilience is showcased in this new chapter. The strength, the courage, the endurance that were forged in the fires of your past trials are no longer hidden, private victories. They now become visible attributes, woven into the very fabric of your character, a shining testament to the power of my grace and the tenacity of your spirit. You are no longer merely surviving. You are thriving, not in spite of your past difficulties, but in many ways, because of them. This resilience is not a harsh, brittle strength, but a flexible, compassionate power. It allows you to meet new challenges with a quiet confidence, to navigate uncertainties with a steady heart, and to offer profound inspiration to others who are still struggling in their own dark chapters. Your scars, touched by my eternal ink, have become luminous lines of beauty and strength, a visible map of your triumphant journey. and perhaps most gloriously of all, this new chapter is defined by your true self shining through the narrative. For so long, your authentic essence may have been veiled by fear, by societal expectations, by past conditioning, by the weight of unresolved pain. But as I turn the page with my eternal ink, I am writing you into your most authentic expression. The masks begin to fall away. The need to perform or pretend diminishes. You feel increasingly free to be simply, beautifully, unapologetically you, the unique, magnificent soul I created you to be. This is a story of liberation, where your innate joy, your natural wisdom, your unique quirks and passions are all celebrated as integral parts of your divine design. As your true self shines through, your life becomes a beacon of authenticity, radiating a light that is both uniquely yours and a perfect reflection of mine. The story of radiance is not a fairy tale, my child, devoid of all challenge or complexity. Life, in its richness, will always present opportunities for growth. But the way you meet these opportunities, the lens through which you perceive them, the inner resources you bring to them, these are all transformed by the light of this new chapter. The narrative is no longer driven by fear, but by love. The plot is no longer dominated by struggle, but by grace. The ending of each new day is not a descent into darkness, but a peaceful rest in the assurance of my unfailing presence and the promise of a new dawn. The ink I use, this eternal ink, ensures that the radiance of this chapter is not fleeting. It is a light that builds, that deepens, that expands. It is the light of your own soul, finally given permission to shine in its fullness, sustained and amplified by my infinite light. Embrace this new story, my beloved. Live it with all your heart. It is a story of hope fulfilled, of love made manifest, of purpose embraced, of a life lived in the glorious, unfolding radiance of my eternal, creative spirit. This is the chapter you are always meant to live. The atmosphere of this new chapter is one of gentle unfolding, of joyful discovery. There's less striving, more allowing, less anxious pushing, more graceful flowing. You begin to trust the current of my love to carry you, to recognize the divine choreography in the events of your life. The radiance is not something you have to manufacture. It emanates from you naturally as you align more deeply with the truth I am writing within your soul. Colors will seem brighter, not just in the world around you, but within the landscape of your own emotions. Joy will have a purer hue, peace a deeper tone, love a more vibrant saturation. Even moments of quiet contemplation will be imbued with a luminous quality, a sense of my sacred presence filling the spaces of your life. This is the artistry of my eternal ink. It does not just narrate, it illuminates from within. You will find yourself becoming more intuitive, more attuned to the subtle guidance that was always there, but perhaps previously unheard amidst the noise of fear or the static of old patterns. Your decisions will flow more from a place of inner knowing than from external pressures or intellectual calculations alone. This heightened sensitivity to my spirit is a key feature of your radiant chapter, allowing you to navigate your path with greater wisdom and grace. This story of radiance is also a story of profound gratitude. As you witness the beauty unfolding, as you experience the restoration, the renewed purpose, the deeper love, your heart will naturally overflow with thankfulness. Thankfulness for my unfailing love, for the lessons of the past, for the incredible gift of this new beginning. And this gratitude, in turn, becomes a luminous thread woven by my eternal ink, further enhancing the beauty and power of your ongoing narrative. The more you appreciate the light, the more light you will perceive and experience. Welcome, my beloved, to this chapter of your becoming. It has been long in the preparation, meticulously authored, and is now unfolding in its perfect time. Let your life be a testament to the truth that no story truly ends in despair when the divine author holds the pen. And the ink used is eternal, life-giving, and luminous with love. My beloved child, as you now inhabit this radiant new chapter, penned with the eternal ink of my love and alive with the themes of restoration, renewed purpose, and your own true self shining forth, let your vision expand even further, for the book of your life is not a slim volume with but a few sparse chapters. It is an epic, a vast and unfolding saga, written from beginning to end with the unfading love and divine intention of your heavenly author. The story isn't just continuing, it is destined for a grandeur, a depth, and a beauty that will continue to amaze you as each new page is turned. This epic of your existence, my child, has as its central, unwavering theme my unfading love for you. This love is the golden thread that binds every chapter, every verse, every punctuation mark. It was present in the passages of sorrow, offering unseen comfort and hidden strength. It was the guiding hand behind the chapters of confusion, subtly steering you towards my light, and it is a radiant ink that now illuminates your current chapter of joy and purpose. This love is not a subplot. It is the very heart of your narrative, the eternal wellspring from which all true life, all true meaning, flows. Do not imagine that this current chapter of radiance, however beautiful, is the final one. My pen never truly rests, for my creativity is infinite. My love for you is boundless, and the story of your becoming is an eternal unfoldment. There are countless pages yet to be turned, countless adventures yet to be embarked upon, countless new expressions of your divine potential yet to be revealed. The book of your life is vast, far vaster than your human mind can comprehend, and it is filled with wonders that I have prepared for you from before time began. Each chapter builds upon the last, not in a way that diminishes what came before, but in a way that adds new layers of richness, new dimensions of understanding, new harmonies to the overall symphony. The resilience you forge in the difficult chapters now provides the foundation for a bolder courage in the chapters of adventure. The compassion you cultivated in your sorrow now equips you for a deeper service of love in the chapters of purpose. The wisdom gleaned from past mistakes now informs your choices in the chapters of co-creation with me. Nothing is lost. Nothing is wasted. In this divinely authored epic, every experience, every lesson, every tear, every smile is woven into the magnificent, ongoing tapestry of your eternal story. Think of your life not as a single, self-contained novel, but as part of an infinite and a sacred library, where each soul's story is a unique and precious volume, interconnected with all others, contributing to the grand, overarching narrative of my love for my creation. Your particular epic, with its unique blend of trials and triumphs, of shadows and in light, is an essential contribution to this cosmic library. It has a beauty, a power, a significance that is all its own. And I, as the divine librarian and chief author, cherish every word. The eternal ink I use ensures that the core truths of your story, your belovedness, your divine origin, your unbreakable connection to me, your ultimate destiny and light are written with an unshakable permanence. Worldly storms may rage, circumstances may shift, human opinions may waver, but these core truths, inscribed in the very essence of your being, remain steadfast, luminous, and forever true. This is the unwavering foundation upon which your epic is built. Therefore, my child, if ever a future moment brings a sense of an ending, if a new challenge arises that tempts you to believe the story might be closing in sorrow, remember what you have learned. Remember my hand, always ready to turn the page. Remember the eternal ink, always capable of writing new beginnings. Remember that your life is not a short story, but an epic, and that I, your loving author, am always working to bring forth more beauty, more love, more light from every circumstance. The plot may have its twists and turns, its moments of suspense, but the overarching narrative arc always bends towards my goodness, towards my grace, towards the glorious fulfillment of my divine intention for you. This epic is not one you have to strive to create on your own. Your part is to live authentically, to love generously, to trust my guidance, and to courageously embrace each new chapter as it unfolds. I will provide the inspiration, the opportunities, the resources, the divine synchronicities that move the story forward. Our co-authorship is a dance of love, a partnership of creation, where my divine vision and your human experience merge to create something truly magnificent. The binding of this vast book of your life is my everlasting presence. I am not a distant author who pens a story and then walks away. I am with you in every line, in every word, in every space between the words. My spirit breathes through your narrative, infusing it with life, with meaning, with an anointing of sacred purpose. You are never separate from your author. You are always held within the embrace of my creative, sustaining love. As more pages turn, you will discover new facets of yourself, new capacities you did not know you possessed, new ways to experience and express my love. The story will deepen. Its themes will become richer, its beauty more profound. There will be chapters of quiet joy, chapters of dynamic service, chapters of profound wisdom, chapters of delightful discovery. Each one will be unique, each one precious, each one penned with the same unfading love that has guided your story from its very inception. So rest in this grand assurance. My beloved, your story isn't ending. It is an epic in progress, an eternal narrative written in the unfading ink of my infinite love. Many beautiful chapters are still to be revealed, each one building upon the last, each one bringing you closer to the full realization of the magnificent being I created you to be. The author is faithful. The ink is eternal, and your story is, and always will be, a masterpiece of divine love. Now, my precious child, as the intensity of this message softens into a gentle embrace, let the truth of your unending story, penned with my eternal love, settle like a balm upon your spirit. The fear of endings, the weight of a closed book, these are illusions that have now been dispelled by the radiant truth of my continuous authorship in your life. You have journeyed from believing your narrative was over to understanding that my hand is always turning the page, always revealing new chapters written with an ink that never fades. Remember the tenderness with which I revisited your past, illuminating even the darkest passages with new light, showing you how every experience has contributed to the beautiful epic you are living. Hold fast to the knowing that the pen I wield is one of unfailing love and unending grace, ensuring that your story is always one of redemption, of renewal, of hope. The new chapter of radiance you are now experiencing is not a fleeting interlude, but a testament to the enduring power of this divine script. And as you look towards the future, towards the many unseen pages yet to be turned, do so not with apprehension, but with a quiet, joyful confidence. The author of your story loves you beyond measure. The ink is eternal. The epic of your life is vast and beautiful, and its most wondrous chapters are still unfolding, each one a testament to an unfading love, each one bound by my everlasting presence. Rest now, my beloved, in the peace of this knowing. Your story is safe in my hands.